All right, my friends. Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal, North Fort Myers, South West Florida. Thank you for tuning in. I'm not going to be on too long this evening. Actually, I was supposed to be on last night. I forgot. Oh, look, I can see the chat. John, what's happening? Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. You know, I think that was able to get in the settings on my phone. And she mentioned when we were doing our live chat on Sanibel, on the beach, Sanibel Island. And she mentioned something about something was off. Something was turned off, and sometimes these things on my phone they change. This technology is. I do like it. I do like the convenience that we have. What I don't like is how things change and there's no notifications on changing. And for those of us who don't have time to educate ourselves so much into tech savvy, because we lose money when we do that because we're not getting paid for this. So why spend the time doing something? You know what I mean? I mean, I get paid for this out in the real world. I don't. We do get paid for this, but Deb takes care of all that. But when I see these YouTube videos of people complaining, like, man, I put all this time and all this money, and now I'm not getting peanuts, and I hope you didn't quit your day job because it's gonna be very disappointing, man. It's gonna be real sad. A sad day, my friends. So I mean, I apologize about it, but at the same time, I shouldn't have to make any apologies. I didn't invent this. I appreciate it, but at the same time, if you're gonna release something to the public, make sure it works. I'll sell you the guitar, but don't work, but I'll sell it to you. Google it. I don't know. See, that mentality to me it doesn't fly. Um, but before I get into the topic that I wanted to discuss real quick about all this, it happens. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, John. I appreciate it. You know, like I said, if I were to, even if I were, excuse me, even if I were to be tech savvy, I know people that are tech savvy and they even complain about this. So doesn't that tell you something? You know, for those who are behind the scenes and doing all the work, I know you're overwhelmed, but maybe you should have thought about having it finalized and proofread before you sent it out to the press and get it printed up. Gee, I spelled Dave wrong. I spelled it with a B and not a D. Uppercase, lowercase. I forgot. I forgot. Well, I mean, seriously. Anyways, I don't want to go on a tangent about that. But before I do get on the topic that I really want to discuss, I've seen a couple of these. Well, that's part of the topic that I get into. But before I get into that, um, I've seen some of the videos lately. How to become a supersonic shredder and all that. And it's fun. It's great. I'm not knocking it. Love it. But I hope I was not into that same category and not realizing when I was younger. Well, actually, I did. I did. The tape I recorded myself playing supersonic fast, just as fast as what these people are doing today, if not faster. I mean, I could not believe I got to those speeds. Maybe it was all the coffee I was drinking. I don't know. But it was very fast, very accurate. I just could not believe it. And what was missing when I listened to that playback was there was no melody. And that was recorded on a cassette tape when I had my Ibanez Destroyer, which was their version of an Explorer, but more decked out. And it was 1985. And when I heard the playback, after I was impressed by what I was doing, well, I shouldn't say immediately, it didn't take too long when I was thinking about what something was missing, and then it dawned on me what I was able to get was missing was the lack of melodic sense, if that makes any sense. The musical quality, because I was still also doing classic. I was that at that time. I was into my classical guitar studies, self studies, starting in back then. What, three or what, yeah, 3 years, 3 or 4 years, something like that. Actually, about 3 years. So when you're into that, into the jazz fusion, you're not really thinking one dimensional. and all those speed. I love it because the excitement. And when you start breaking those barriers, man. I could just imagine what winning the lottery must feel like, and the big lottery. Well, this feeling could probably outdo that because it's not something you put in your pocket. It's something you actually really develop, and you just, when you least expect it, it hits you. And as that the first phase, when it was starting to hit me, you get hungry for more. So again, you do all the heavy wood shedding and that just to get to those levels and that, and it was great. But again, what I was starting to miss was the musical sense. And then what got me there was playing very slowly and accurately. That's why I was able to speed it up and be so accurate. And all my friends were asking me, like, man, I can hear every note clear. It's so blazing fast, but it's not slop. Well, that has a time and a place for it. And again, I'm not knocking it, but if that's your only goal, then go for it. But understand, you're gonna have a real small margin. You'll still get work. Don't get me wrong, and you still could be marketable selling it. Don't get me wrong, but if you start to wonder, I'm not getting these other gigs, or I'd like to be able to do this. If you spend so much time shredding, now you have to kind of unwind it a little bit to get the sensibility of very strong feeling emotion, and then you have to learn how to balance the two, and that comes over a course of time, and some people develop it at different paces, so not one's better than the other. But my point is that if you want to sound musical, practice sounding musical. Don't disregard your bends. If you're doing something that's got a nice bend, a little, and then find players that you like and listen to them as they play that. It doesn't have to be the same guy that shreds. I mean, everyone has different influences, and we kind of put them in all one big melting pot, and we pick and choose what we like. I tell you what the secrets was for me starting developing my own style within the styles, if you want to say that, was learning songs, and then in the early stages getting frustrated by trying to learn the solos, and at the same time I was developing my own take on solos against a chord progression. So in essence, what I was coming up with was like, gee, what would happen if I was the guy that had to lay down the tracks because their main guy was sick that day? He had the flu and he couldn't come in and do the tracks. Here's your chord progression. Uh, let's see, C minor, B flat, A flat, and G. So you just start to come up with stuff. And my suggestion is follow the feel for that chord progression, because you're going to key in on the emotion of it, the most strongest emotion that's going to fit those chords, and that's what's going to stand out. And even if you put in a speed burst, as long as it's fitting that pace, and sometimes it does not take you playing a million miles a minute. If you're going to play that fast, make sure that pace is matching that tempo. In other words, if you're going to do 64th notes and it still doesn't fit that tempo and you want to play even faster, double that 64 so it can fit that pace. How I look at it is, if I'm playing a fast rhythm, then I don't want to go too fast with the soloing because it contracts. I want to make sure that rhythm is standing out as much as the soloing. Or if it's a slower rhythm, then I could put the speed bursts in. Each one needs to stand out, and that's just my taste. That's all, and everything's a personal preference. Then when you add to the fact that you're playing different styles, you know, that makes it, you know, it adds to the equation. So what I want to really talk about is I've seen a couple of these ads. I've seen this quite some time. Some of these ads on Craigslist where bands are now available, or if you need do you need entertainment? You know, there'll be little catchphrase titles in these ads. You know, um, available. We could do this, that, and the other, and or if you need entertainment, they're basically saying they're available. And what's been going on? A lot of places that are they're either shifting, cutting back on the entertainment, or changing to being a sports bar, or like this place that's just down the road from us or up the road that has a restaurant that was having entertainment and they had a theater. It's called the Shell Factory. They're closing permanently after what 86 years, and I never played there. They're more on the countryside, and that's fine. And you know, not everything's for everybody. And that you know that's fine. But you know, after 86 years, I think it was, you know, they just finally they ran out of funds to take care of the whole place, and the place is huge. The property is huge. It's a very long store. They'll have shark tooths and shark teeth and seashells and T-shirts and all kinds of little souvenirs. And each part of the store they'll have a section with some jewelry. They'll have a section where they have a little bit of history, and they have one part of the section where it's Christmas in July. You could buy Christmas trees and ornaments, and they also on the property outside the storefront in the back there, they got a petting zoo, pretty nice sized petting zoo, a little miniature golf. Let's see, they have a hang glide, have sliders or hang gliding, whatever that is. And they had the restaurant. The restaurant did renovate and did a lot of upgrades, and they had music. They were having music pretty much 5 days a week. They had a theater that used to be part of the restaurant, and then they just gutted that out and turned that into a real, it was a real small theater. And I don't know, maybe get seat maybe 75 people or something. Because I've been in there when they had the door open. I was talking with them on maintenance guy, and small stage, and try to have a little something for everybody. But since the grounds were so large, they were running out of funds to take care of it, and it just became overwhelming. And so it's not this weekend. It's gonna be the next weekend. It's gonna be its final days, and finally, someone had bought it out. So what they turn it into, I don't know. But what happens is with the entertainment, the musicians, obviously they're getting displaced. So what happens is they start looking for other places to play at. Let me get my little bit of hot chocolate here, and they start looking for other places to go. Now, when you put that into the equation, the same as restaurants that have been cutting down on entertainment, or having days of cutting down on the days with live music, and then having in place of the days that they did have live music, they would have karaoke, which is still music. A lot of them are going to trivia route, whether it be trivia on movies or sporting trivia or whatever. So what's been happening now? The other bands are like, all right, now where else could we go to play? So now they start looking at the other places, the same place that I'm playing at, the same place you guys might be playing at in your area. And what does start to happen is that now, instead of you being the house band or house musician, you might, instead of being every week, you might be every other week. And then that might turn into, depending on how well they like these other people, and sometimes they want to change, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's always nice to have something different. But the point I'm making here is that now you start losing the gigs that you would have solid. Now you have to branch out and look around and see what you could get. Well, then that cuts into everyone else's gigs. And the other restaurant owners will say, okay, yeah, maybe it's time for a change, and that's normal. But now, how do you survive? You see, this is what I mean. You got to be really, really mindful of all this, because all the could be's that could happen usually do happen. And if you're playing in a full band, with an economy that's not too great at all right now, so put that into the equation, and you got a 4 or 5 piece band. Well, the club owner could only afford to pay so much, especially when, no matter how popular the band is, they start seeing a decline, in attendance. It's because people are like they're cutting back on going out at night, or for out to dinner or out for a show or whatever this happens. This happens across the board, so none of us are immune to this. But it's just something to think about. Every place you call, other people are calling that same place too. So you have to work on your strategy, and another thing is, don't take it personal, because you want to shoot yourself in the foot. You're not the only one that's having um, tough financial times. These restaurant owners are suffering big time. So it's like learning how to work together with people as opposed to working against people and taking something personal. Some people don't hire me because I don't sing, and that's just the way that is. Or they don't like the fusion music, or they don't like, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not gonna say don't go there because they didn't hire me, but you'd be surprised, some people do, and that's when they shoot themselves in the foot, and then they forget that, geez, if I'm having it tough, I wonder what these people are having. You know what? Talk with the wait staff. I'll tell you what, wait staff ain't gonna lie. They may not talk badly against the club owner, which they shouldn't, but they'll 9 times out of 10 they will be forthcoming and truthful about certain things, without trying to bash their boss. They may come back and say, listen, this is what's going on here, and it's got nothing to do with my boss. He or she's they're good people. It's just that there's not that many people coming out. When there's not that many people coming out, there's not much money coming in. When there's not that much money coming in, how could they afford to pay a 4 and 5 piece band X amount of dollars, or a single act X amount of dollars? That's part of the reality. Now, this has nothing to do with the people that are just con jobs and ripping you off. Those people, after a while, I'm tell you what, they become very easy to spot, and then you just stay away from them. They'll hang themselves anyway. You don't have to worry about that. One thing a liar would do, they'll lie themselves out of a job, or out of business, because it doesn't take that long to figure out what their game is. But the situation where people run out of money, even just to maintain the place, it costs. And when they're faced with that, this is what they'll do. They will start to cut back on the entertainment. Or if you're the house band, hopefully they don't eliminate you altogether. But what they'll do is, instead of having you every week, you go to every other week. And then if things are still kind of tough, then, and let's say they don't want to lower your pay. Because I'll tell you what, I ran into the vast majority of people I ran into that played at their restaurants and their clubs and that have been really good people. They care about everybody. They really do. And so instead of cutting your pay, what they are cutting your pay, but they're not gonna cut it like, okay, I can't pay you 200, I can only pay you 100. Well, instead of that, instead of having you every week, we'll have you every other week. So at least you still feel like you're getting the same amount of money that you normally would get. You're just not getting the same amount of days. That's what's going on. And then if it gets bad from there, then they'll just have you maybe once a month, or sporadically when they can. And you're not the only person, because there's other people going through this. Now, when that gets that bad, then it'll be like, okay, well, instead of having music 5 days a week, let's try 3 days a week. And if that doesn't work, we'll do 2 days a week. If that doesn't work, we'll do 1 day a week. Again, a lot of these places will go to sports bar out and especially during football season. So if they had people play on Sundays, well, they're going to alter that a little bit. Unless they know they could afford it, then they'll have you play and they'll have their sporting, event. But for the most part, no one's going to pay attention to you. You might get some. I'm not, saying everyone's not good at it, but most likely they're going to pay attention to the football game. So, yeah, with this place closed and all those people that are been playing there, now they're all going to be wandering around. For those who want to continue, I've, it's been a while since I ran into a few of these people. Well, they'll just say they're not going to go they're not going to go the bar route anymore, the restaurant route. They're just too burnt out from it. Or they'll put it up on Craigslist, new band forming. We want to be a corporate band or a show band, and we all done the bar scene and restaurant scene. We're burnt out from that, so we're not looking to play 3 to 4 times a week. We're looking to play maybe once or twice a month. And either they have a lot of money put aside, or they went back to work, or they kept their jobs. So, but that's why it's important to make sure you have enough money to float your boat, because anything can happen. And we're hitting the peak of our hurricane season, and so far, thank God, it's been a very, very mild. We haven't got any storms, just a couple of rainstorms here and there. But nothing like when Hurricane Ian hit. But we're still recovering from that. We got some places out in Matlacha Island that they're starting to widen the road. And it's one guy that we run into at the restaurant we eat at for our weekly morning venture. Deb and I go to. It's called the Perfect Cup, Matlacha Island. Well, there was a gentleman there, and this is quite a few months ago, and we were talking about this. He said, to be honest with you, this cleanup, this recovery from this hurricane is not going to take it's not going to take a few months or a couple years. He's looking at anywhere between 6 to 8 years, because how badly things got damaged. So that's, if you conceived a kid during the hurricane, the kid might not be 8 years old before we start seeing things come back almost to normal. So, but you don't have to live in an area that has high, disaster, bad weather, or anything like that. You could have just an area that, for whatever reason, the people ran out of money to maintain the place, the establishment, and they needed to take on a partner. Maybe they don't even sell out 100%, but then they take on a partner. If that partner comes in with a 60-40 split, and that partner's got the 60, you got the 40. So remember, that guy or gal's got the 20% more of a say so, because it's their money. And usually people, they don't want to become rude and hard to work with, but you never know. And how does that affect us? Is that you don't know what decisions they're making behind closed doors, because number one, they're going to think about what is going to help save their establishment. So in this case, for a shell factory and that restaurant, as I said, just got remodeled. It had a limited menu, and we never ate. We ate there when we first got down here. And I remember the restaurant reminded me of Joe's Crab Shack. And we used to go to back up in Aurora, Illinois, and then the ceiling had the big shark hanging down from the ceiling, and little fishes here and there. Now this place, I don't ever remember the staff, the wait staff, coming out and singing. Sometimes they would have Joe's Crab Shack, happy birthday, or they have a little routine thing they would do, and it was kind of cool. But this place, they had the sharks hanging. We ate there, and that was when we first moved down here, and that was 2017. And they've since then got rid of the sharks, new ownership, new restaurant, blah blah blah, outdoor patio. And that patio, it has not been maybe 2 years now. So it has not been that long. And now everything's closing. So, and like I said, it's not really affecting. It's not affecting us per se of us playing there, but it's going to affect all of us musicians down here because those other people are looking for work too. So they're going to start to migrate into places that we're playing at. And like I said, the restaurant owners will say, okay, well, let's do this. They're going to evaluate where everything is at, and they'll say, okay, let's try you. Come on in, and I think that's a good thing because it gives everybody a chance. You know, so it puts everybody on a bigger what I call a rotation wheel. Where there's more people, so now your dates are gonna get spread out more because now we gotta accommodate all these other people, or we would like to accommodate these other people and things of that nature. So if you're ever in a situation where you're a gigging musician and you start wondering what's going on with the gigs, that's one of many things that could be going on. And I see the ads, Craigslist, look at them, and so and so's looking for this. We have this band, this place. I tell you what, like I said, don't bash people because when I see these ads being put in, they start bashing these, especially when they bash the establishment by name. It's really not recommended. I mean, the only way I wouldn't call this bashing. I would call this, forewarning people. If you're being ripped off and someone's, man, blatantly taking advantage of you, they don't give a damn about what you're going through, and they're taking advantage of you. They want to hire you, then they hire you to play, and then all of a sudden they double book and all this other crap. They're playing games. If you want to warn somebody about that, then just stay to that subject. Um, just because the more you try to damage someone's reputation, you'd be damaging your own reputation as well. So gotta just be careful of that. But so I again, I'm not gonna be on that long at all. Probably another couple of minutes here. What helps us get work is we're easy to work with, and we have a diverse style. Now a lot of stuff I've been doing lately has not been supersonic shred, although we're trying to. Maybe I'll do a couple here and there, but you know, I also like the style of music that I'm playing. It's very calming. It's very soothing for me, and it's very soothing for the people that like this stuff. And I get working. We're going to be playing at a private event, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, and we got hired. I think they came out when we were at Yucatan's, and then they came out again when I was doing either the art walk or the music walk, and they just like that chill out, chillaxing music, and so that's basically what I'm going to give them, and just take it from there. But you know, it gets me working. Again, it's something that I also like to play. So you have to really like what you're doing. And if you like what you're doing, if it's not giving you that much work, and let's say you don't want to jump this bandwagon or that bandwagon, or now I gotta, you know, paint my hair blue or paint my hair blonde, whatever. If you don't want to do any of it, then really don't. Be true to yourself, and you'll have a much better time, even if your gig's gonna go down. Because chances are your gigs are gonna go down anyway, because with places closing and some places going the sports bar route, you're one of many. That's what happens. Especially if everyone's doing the same thing. It's like there's definitely that burnout. There is definitely that burnout. So, we were at a place called the Mucky Duck. We nice English pub restaurant, and beautiful view. But to me, the beachfront, it almost looked like it was a private beach. And they were on the news after Hurricane Ian, and it's good to see them making their comeback, and they had some stories after Hurricane Ian how the sand blew up like 8 feet into the restaurant, and they had to just clean up everything and that. And they're trying to have live music again. It takes time. It takes a lot of time because they're trying to feel things out, and a lot of times they're gonna look at see how many people are actually coming back to the island, because the causeway to get in there, they had this beaches on the side Deb and I used to go to, and everyone used to go there to watch the sunset and hang out, all day. We done a couple of live streams from the causeway when we were before Hurricane Ian. The whole area got destroyed. They've rebuilt the bridges there. It's still one lane going in and one lane coming out, but it has affected a lot of the restaurants that were able to reopen because if you can't get there after they clean up everything because now they're working on the bridge, then only those people are going to be able to go to it, not these people. And then some people didn't want to get stuck in a long line on a bridge. This is what happened with Yucatan. They're working on the bridge there, and they were saying it's going to take maybe about a year. Then they said on the news maybe 8 months. Who really knows? But it affected a lot of restaurants. Even the place that we go to, Perfect Cup, they don't have any music in there. They're just open for breakfast and lunch. They were saying, yeah, they've seen a decline in their customers because no one wants to drive from Cape Coral or Fort Myers and get stuck on that bridge for an hour or two. Nobody wants to do that. So, and all these things affect. And then they started going out of business, and then that's what's sad. But whenever a place closes, this is what happens with the entertainment. Then it's like everyone gets dispersed, and they're out there looking for more work. And it's like the work is shrinking, but yet the amount of musicians either stay the same or start to grow. Get new people coming in. You got some of the schools. Well, I don't know really what School of Rock does, other than take some of the kids out to the music walk, which we're scheduled to play at the music walk tomorrow. We should have good weather. 6 to 10, I think it is. It might be a little after 6, more close to 6:30 to 10. Anyways, I know that's one of the places that they'll go to because they'll have a lot of underage kids, and a lot of these kids have nowhere to go. But when you add this to the equation, and they're all teaching them cover music, and they get stuck in these restaurants, or they're trying to get stuck, not stuck, but trying to get the gigs at the restaurants, and they get stuck just doing maybe open mic and open jams. You got to think about those are the next set of new people coming in to start gigging. So now a small a small opportunity of gigs became even smaller because the musician population is just growing. You know what I mean? So these are all things to take in consideration. Whenever one place closes, everyone spreads out. So when that happens, don't get discouraged because it happens a lot of places. It's just the nature of the beast. The best thing to do is try to have your finances in order because you don't want to add any more stress, especially if you're already older. You don't want to put any more stress, and you got a family to support. It's such a different time being a musician compared to what used to be. It really is, because you gotta think of this. Your biggest piece of gear, and I say this a lot, is going to be your car. And if you don't have enough money to fix your car, man, you let your car go down. Then when you do have to go back to work, how do you get to work? Now your car's broken. You don't have the money to maintain that. So, to encourage people to do something, try it when you're younger, or try it when you have enough money, or try it when you really feel it. If you walk away I see some of these YouTube videos, people, they talk about, "Ooh, I'm real scared. I want to take that plunge. I'm scared, walk away from this, that, and the other." And things could go either way. You got to always remember that. But then when they walk away from something solid and then they find that they can't get that back, the panic button gets even worse. The panic is even worse. It's like, wow, man, I feel bad for them. I really feel bad for them. One guy was telling me, "Yeah, I'm a full-time musician," and I almost said this. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, because I know what's going on out there, because I'm out there playing, you know. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with everybody because seeing what's happening and seeing some of the ads I've seen on Craigslist and it doesn't take much to put two and two together. Everyone is starting to like flood the market again because they just lost their gigs, and that's usually what happens. And be prepared for it because it's not a matter of if it happens; it's when it happens. So my suggestion is watch what you spend. If you don't have to spend a whole lot of money, I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't recommend it. Keep that money for that rainy day because the rainy days do come. Anyways, my friends, that'll be all for today. And like I said, we are scheduled to play tomorrow. Oh, one thing if I didn't say this earlier, I want to say this again. Um, there are times like right now I'm trying to get my live stream. Maybe I only have a few comments. That's okay. But see, I'm doing this and nothing's really happening. So don't take it personal if I don't respond right away to something. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody or ignore anybody or anything like that. You guys are all important out there. This is the way this phone works. It is not a normal phone. Yeah, thank you so much, John. You guys and everyone out there, you have a great evening, and we will be hitting a live stream tomorrow. We'll start it anywhere between 6 and 6:30 in that time frame, because by the time we get down there, park in the garage, and get to our spot to set up and play, that's that's when it goes on. But we'll be playing until about 10 o'clock. Hopefully, we won't get rained out. The humidity at that time is supposed to get less. We're hoping. It is summer in Florida, so. Anyways, guys, have a great evening, a blessed evening, and we will see you tomorrow. If we do not go live, I will send a message out there if something happens or you got canceled. I'll put I'll create a post and just let you guys know. Anyways, we love you all. Have a great evening. Stay strong, safe, and true. It's time for the CBS Radio Mystery Theaters, my friends. Rock on, and God bless you. Have a great evening.